Hi, my name is Charlie Levenson, and I'm going to give you a little bit of background, what I learned from films, and how I learned about business, life, and success from films. I did study film, but really I learned most of the lessons at double features at the Rialto Cinema in South Pasadena over 10 years, 2 or 3 double features a week. There may be some spoilers in this, but probably not a lot because the average age of most of the films I'm going to talk about is 36 years, except for one, which was from 2010, that had James Franco in it, so nobody really gives a damn. The first film I'm going to talk about is Pretty Woman, an adaptation of the Cinderella story with a hooker with a heart of gold. There's a scene in this film where Vivian is negotiating with Edward for a week of her services, and they agree on $3,000, the original title of the script. She's gleeful because she said she would have taken 2, and he lets her know that he would have paid 4. An important lesson is to know what you're worth. It's usually more than you think. Another important lesson is when you move up in the world, in business, in a company, maybe laterally or inside the company with a promotion, a lot of people who knew you back before you got promoted may not appreciate the new you because they knew you back when. In The Wizard of Oz, we had 4 ragtags who were taking a trip to try to find different things: courage, a heart, a brain, a way home. They traveled the Yellow Brick Road, they got to Oz, they had some adventures, they met the wizard. In the end, they found out that everything they were looking for, they already had. It was within them. The lesson here is for businesses that are going out searching for new talent, ready to pay big money for outside talent, when really it might be in their own company already. And by ignoring that, they lose the morale and passion of their employees. In Field of Dreams, we had a gentleman farmer who heard voices and plowed over his corn and built a baseball field. His neighbor farmers thought he was mad. The lesson here really is to succeed in business. Sometimes you have to do things that follow your own passion, even if everybody thinks you're completely insane. The other more important lesson probably is sometimes you have to build things before you've got a market for them. Research and surveys won't always tell you if something's going to be a success. Users will not know if they want something if they've never seen it before. In The Stuntman, a really brilliant Peter O'Toole plays a megalomaniacal film director who both torments and protects a young PTSD fugitive, Steve Railsback. The lesson here is really that sometimes our bosses are completely crazy. Absolutely insane, but it doesn't mean they're wrong, and it doesn't mean they can't guide us to success. Sometimes you have to be a little bit crazy to succeed in business, and we need to go with that. The next film is The Sound of Music, a traditional film. The lessons here are really about change. Sound of Music teaches about 2 different kinds of change. That's frog boiling, slow, gradual change, like the advent of Nazism into Austria, and also a more dramatic paradigm-shifting change, which can occur instantly, where you go one day, you're a leader in your community, and the next day you're a fleeing fugitive over the Alps with your family. So to succeed in business, you really have to be able to manage both of these kinds of change, the dramatic ones and the gradual ones. In 127 Hours and The Bridge on the River Kwai, we learned some important lessons in business about having to cut. Sometimes you have to cut to survive. You have to cut product lines, features, entire divisions of personnel, and that's the only way you can make it work. And other times you build great things, they're brilliant, they're lovely, sometimes you have to destroy them because they don't work with the business model or the consumer. This is an important lesson for business. One of my favorite films, Bull Durham. We have a young, incredibly talented Tim Robbins with $1 million arm and a 5-cent head. And Kevin Costner, the veteran, has to sort of educate him and teach him. The lesson we learn here is that in business, in the world, for success, you really need to have a mentor all the time if you can. And when you can, to also be a mentor. The other lesson, a simpler one, is sometimes our achievements are very personal. They're not shared with the corporation or the community. They're only shared with ourselves and our close friends. In Mr. Holland's opus, Richard Dreyfuss mentors, teaches, and inspires children over an entire career and a lifetime, but in doing so he also gives up his own personal passion. But what we discover as this film progresses is that if you do inspire and help and teach and train people, they'll be there for you, they'll never forget you. That's a lesson about loyalty, which is something that's very much lost in American business and society right now, but shouldn't be forgotten. It really does pay off. Another film, 2001 Stanley Kubrick's classic, taught us, don't leave technology alone without human intervention. It's not safe. Also, space aliens, they have their own agenda. I wasn't able to clear a graphic for my final film, Dirty Dancing from 1987. But the lesson there, and it applies to women in the industry and in the world, whether it's geek gamers or Silicon Valley problems, is don't put baby in a corner. And that's all, folks.